Hey everybody! So we are continuing along with our season previews, and today we're going to be talking about the LA Kings. Before we get into the video, I just quickly want to say if you're not yet a subscriber to this channel, please hit that subscribe button and follow along all season long for hockey content. And if you enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up and hit the like button. That really helps out a lot with the channel and would be greatly appreciated. So, the Los Angeles Kings, they were the worst team in the Western Conference last year. I think they're going to be the worst team in the Western Conference again this year. Their roster on paper is not good. Heavily reliant on older 30-plus players who don't produce at nearly at the level that they used to anymore. A goaltender that can't stay healthy. Very, very thin on defense. Not a lot of depth. Virtually no offense at all. This team is not good. They are going to be right down with Ottawa, maybe as bad as Ottawa, as, definitely a team that's going to be getting a top 3 pick in the coming draft, I think. There's no offense there. Their leading goal scorer last season was Dustin Brown, and Anze Kopitar tied with 22 goals. 22 goals led the team last year. There are teams with third liners who score 22 goals, and that led the LA Kings. This team has no offense. Anze Kopitar led the team in points with 61. Dustin Brown was in second in points with 51. Those were the only 2 players over 50 points on the team. In an age where we have 100-point scorers coming back, a lot of point-per-game scorers, pretty much every team has at least 1 point-per-game guy. The Kings' leading point getter had 61 points, and only 2 guys had over 50. This offense is the issue with this team, and it's not going to be a quick fix. This is not something that they're going to just automatically be better with overnight or over the next couple of years. This team needs a full rebuild. Anze Kopitar, Dustin Brown, guys like that are on the decline. They're over 30, they're on the decline. Jeff Carter is done. Only 31 points last year for Carter. Ilya Kovalchuk, bring him in, has been a disaster. Only 16 goals last year. He's not going to get any better with age. This is an old team. This is a team that needs a full, complete rebuild from start to finish. They have Drew Doughty, who's still only 29 on the back end. He's making $11 million a year. He scored 45 points last year, but was minus 35. So they need Doughty to be better defensively. Jonathan Quick. We know Jonathan Quick's a great goaltender, and he's a Stanley Cup winning goaltender. He's 33 now, and he's injured every single year. I think each of the last 3 years he's missed significant time with injury. He only played 46 games last year. It's going to be a struggle in LA this season. I think this is a team that needs to go through a full and real rebuild. So, I'll be honest with you guys, I don't think I watched a single LA Kings game last year. I did not see this team play. I followed along, obviously knew that they weren't very good, but I don't think I actually watched a full LA Kings game last year. So for the lines, I strictly went with what Cap Friendly has as their line combinations because I don't know. I have no idea what their lines are going to look like. This is going to be a team that's going to be, just desperate for anyone who can play, anyone who can produce offensively. So we could easily, there's going to be a lot of competition in camp. We could easily see some younger players, if they show some spurts of offense in the preseason, that could possibly win jobs on this team. It's going to be wide open. No one's roster spot, with the exception of maybe guys like Kopitar and Brown and Doughty. There aren't many roster spots that are safe on this team. Because there are going to be, open opportunities for some other players to come in here. But Cap Friendly has the top line being Alex Iafallo, Anze Kopitar, and Dustin Brown. That's probably their best chance at getting some sort of goal scoring out of that top line. Second line being Carl Grundstrom, Adrian Kempe, and Tyler Toffoli. That line needs to produce. For LA to have even a 500 season this year, that line needs to produce. Now, Grundstrom only played 15 games in the NHL last year and had 5 goals. He's a good goal scorer and a very good goal scorer at the AHL level. He's 21. It's going to be interesting to see if he now likely getting a full-time NHL spot is going, how he does in that situation. And if he can produce, he could be a guy that maybe turns into a 25 or 30 goal scorer for LA. And that kind of offense would greatly, greatly help this team. Tyler Toffoli only had 13 goals last year. They need more out of him. Adrian Kempe, young guy, 22 years old, hopefully still improving, had 28 points last season. He's in a top 6 role now. They need a lot more than 28 points out of a top 6 center. So look to see him probably close to, at least try to go over that 40-point mark, maybe over the 50-point mark. Third line, Cap Friendly has Nikolai Prokorin. Wait, let me try and get this name right. Prokhorkin. I've never heard of this player. I don't know anything about him. Sounds like he's coming over from possibly Russia or the KHL or something. So they have him penciled in on the third line. I don't know anything about him, so we'll see how that works out. Jeff Carter in the middle and Ilya Kovalchuk on the right side. Kovalchuk brought in over $6 million per year, coming back over from the KHL last season, and only scored 16 goals. You do not pay a player over $6 million a year to score 16 goals. They need more out of him. I don't think they're going to get more out of him. He's 36 now. He's on the back end of his career. Not really sure why he even came back, honestly. And then the fourth line, Kyle Clifford, Trevor Lewis, and Austin Wagner. A couple veterans there with Clifford and Lewis. And then Austin Wagner's a young guy trying to make the team. Defensively, top pair, Derek Forbort and Drew Doughty. Honestly, that's not a bad top pair. So that's actually kind of decent there. They have a decent top pair. Second pair, Alec Martinez and Matt Roy, who I know nothing about. 24-year-old, played 25 games last year. So we'll see what he does with a full season at the NHL level. Not a lot of depth. You've got Martinez, who's still a solid player. Drew Doughty, obviously, is a superstar defenseman. Forbort playing with a good player like Doughty can be fine, but after that, it's a lot of question marks on that back end. The third pair, they have Joakim Ryan and Paul Ledoux. That's just oof. That's oof there for your bottom pair. Jonathan Quick in goal with Jack Campbell backing him up. Jonathan Quick is not the goaltender he was when the Kings were winning Stanley Cups. Cannot stay healthy, constantly dealing with injuries. Jack Campbell, pretty good backup, but not he's a backup. So, not a guy you want starting 50 games in a season. And that's your starting lineup. Extra players, they have Michael Amadio and Matt Luff as extra forwards. Also, Lance Boma, who played over in Europe, I believe, last year, is in on a PTO. So with this team, honestly, he could potentially take a roster spot with this team as a bottom 6 forward, depending on how he does in the preseason. And then on the back end, they have Sean Walker as a 7th defenseman, and Curtis McDermott is another guy with a little bit of NHL experience who could possibly come in if injuries happen. Overall, there are probably other young players and prospects that could potentially steal a roster spot with this team just because there's not a whole lot there. Overall, this team is going to struggle. This isn't a good lineup. They have no offense. They're thin on defense. Their goaltending isn't what it used to be. This is a team, like I said, that needs a full rebuild. They're going to be one of the worst teams in the league this year. I'm sorry to say it, Kings fans, but it's not getting any better overnight. This is a team that's really going to struggle. And Yeah, probably going to be right near the bottom of the league. The good news is they're going to get a really high draft pick in this year's draft. And they can start to accumulate between last year's draft, this year's draft. They can start to accumulate some really good young talent and rebuild for the future. But that is what they need to do. They need to move on from guys like Carter and Kovalchuk, and even I don't see them. Dustin Brown's been a king his whole career. I don't. Maybe they don't move on from him. But if the offer is out there, maybe you do move on from him. They need to be looking for Jonathan Quick's replacement at this point. Between the injuries and him being 33 years old, I think that's a reasonable thing to start doing, is getting a highly talented young goaltender in there who can develop and maybe 3-4 years down the road be NHL ready. This team's got a lot of work to do in the rebuilding category, so I'm not expecting anything from them this year other than a last place finish in the Western Conference. So with that, like, comment, share, subscribe, follow on social media. All those links are down in the description below. If you'd like to further support the channel, the links to our Patreon and merchandise store are down in the description as well. Keep spreading the word about this channel. Let's keep this thing growing. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll talk to you guys soon.